covering Northern California. You're watching Action News Now, coverage you can count on.
The governor is pushing to shut down homeless camps across the state. We'll tell you how he wants to push this initiative.
Plus, a plan to change Chico streets downtown. That's back with a new name. The city wants to hear your thoughts on improving safety.
But first, new details on a plot targeting a school in Cottonwood. A plot stopped by police. Tehama County Sheriff's deputies arrested a 14 and 15-year-old, both who attend Evergreen Institute of Excellence Charter School in Cottonwood.
Investigators say they acted on a tip about a planned attack from somebody who was gaming online with one of the suspects. And Action News Now reporter Blake Mayfield is live in front of Evergreen Middle School. So Blake, we know security's been increased there this week. How are families dealing with all of this?
Yeah, Haley, parents and students alike tell me that, they're grateful for that gamer that came forward and let law enforcement know about the planned attack last week in time for law enforcement to respond and make sure it doesn't happen. In a statement, Evergreen Union School District Superintendent Brad Mendenhall told families and staff that law enforcement worked all through the night on Saturday before arresting those two teens around 1 p.m. yesterday. He added that as of now, it's believed the two suspects are the only individuals involved with no active or ongoing threat to any Evergreen area schools. Mendenhall also noted that Evergreen's Bend campus was never included in any of the threats. This afternoon, I spoke with a student of Evergreen Middle School, along with his dad, about their reaction to the news.
A little nerve-wracking at the beginning when we first saw it, and then we saw the report that came out from the sheriff's office. So I said, no, we'll keep him in school. We're not going to take him out.
My teacher, she said if you want to go and talk to a counselor, you can. So I wanted to do that.
Business as usual. Nothing's changing.
In addition to an increased law enforcement presence, Mendenhall says school staff was also positioned on the perimeter of each campus throughout today as well. The Tehama County Sheriff's Office sent out a thank you on Facebook to the gamer who reported the plans last Friday evening. Tehama County Sheriff Dave Kane says he's going to hold a press conference tomorrow afternoon where it's expected they'll reveal more details about what went into averting this attack. Reporting live in Cottonwood, I'm Blake Mayfield, Action News Now.
Thank you, Blake. We apologize for those audio issues there. The two suspects involved with the planned attack are currently in custody in Tehama County's Juvenile Hall.
Breaking news, the Shasta County Superior Courthouse in Redding will be closed for the entire week because of a flooding emergency. The court issued the notice less than 20 minutes ago. They are still not saying what caused the flooding or the extent of the damage. It's expected that the courthouse will reopen next Monday, May 18th. If you have a court date this week, you should contact your attorney. If you have jury duty this week, you do not have to report. Also, any court orders, such as restraining orders, that are set to expire this week have been extended by 7 days. Well, we saw cool and breezy Monday. Here's a look from North Chico late this afternoon.
Yeah, it looks lovely out there with just that light breeze, but gosh, we saw hail in some areas too. Chief Meteorologist Howie Gordon's tracking it for us. Howie, is the worst of it over yet?
Yeah, so storms are weakening. We no longer have a severe threshold limit. They're below those limits, which is good news. We're, again, 60-mile-per-hour winds with 1-inch size hail. All of that is reduced. And as you look at the radar, it just looks a lot more calm overall. Even with the rain, you're only seeing a few heavier bands where you're still seeing a few lightning storms, thunderstorms here and there. But again, greatly reduced in terms of the limits and the strengths compared to just a couple hours ago. As we zoom in, still seeing some areas of some lightning and thunder and some heavier bands. But again, nowhere near where we were. But these storms will move away, and we will warm up again, and we'll talk all about that coming up in just a few minutes. Alan and Haley.
Thanks, Howie.
Happening now, a workshop on the new revitalization plan for downtown Chico. It's the former Complete Streets project, and it's back on the table with a new name and some new ideas. One of the goals is to make Main Street and Broadway a lot safer for people who walk and ride bikes. The proposal calls for adding more bike lanes and improving sidewalks, but it could bring a reduction in traffic lanes and possibly adding diagonal parking.
We don't have a lot of, on these main roads, places for bikes to ride, so I do think that would be ideal to have something better for the people who ride the bike, especially so close to the college.
I take away a lane? Absolutely not. Diagonal parking? Absolutely not. We need every lane we have. When the trucks, UPS, all the trucks that are delivering goods, we need those lanes. We don't want to have a backup.
The workshop just began at 6 o'clock at the Chico City Council chambers, and the city will have 6 public meetings before the draft plan is presented in February of next year. Governor Gavin Newsom is doubling down on his push for cities and counties to ban homeless camps.
The governor unveiled a new model ordinance for local governments to act on using the authority affirmed by the U.S. Supreme Court in the Grants Pass v. Johnson case. The model ordinance can be adapted, but basically would ban persistent homeless camping in one location and locations that block sidewalks. It would require local officials to provide notice and make every reasonable effort to identify and offer shelter before clearing an encampment. The governor calls it a starting point.
It is critical now that local government does everything in its power to address local permits. California has done everything it can, and Californians have done everything they can as it relates to providing these exemptions to CEQA and moving these projects, the project dollars, and identifying the projects in unprecedented speed.
Governor Newsom also announced the release of $3.3 billion in new Proposition 1 funding to expand behavioral health housing and treatment options throughout the state. So what does this proposed model ordinance and this call for action mean for the city of Chico and the existing Warren settlement restricting camp clearouts? Well, Action News Now reporter Sade Warren is live in Chico. Sade, can the city take any action under the governor's model ordinance?
So, Alan, according to the city manager, Mark Sorensen, the city cannot uphold the model ordinance due to the city of Chico still being tied in the Warren versus Chico settlement agreement. Sorensen says one major constraint is Section 10E of the Warren Settlement Agreement, which limits enforcements to up to 3 public properties at a given time. He says this restriction has led to a cycle where homeless people move their camps just beyond active enforcement areas. Sorensen says the city cannot initiate enforcement in any new areas until the 3 previous sites have been fully addressed. He explained that nothing in the agreement prevents people from returning to those cleaned up encampments. He says the city will begin the process of clearing out a group of the 3 properties, but they must complete that cycle before going to the next sites. People in the community tell me that they're fed up, and everyone has a unique idea on how to fix the problem.
I think that we should not let them stay in such public spaces, and if they're actually here because they don't want to be here, or if it's because they don't want to simply just stop doing drugs, I think it should be different. Definitely different. Clearly, what we have now is not working.
Sorensen says this encampment cleanup delay can be a fire risk as homeless people light up to cook or warm up. That was the case at 1:30 this morning on Hazel and 9th Street. Firefighters arrived to find a burning tent. Fortunately, no one was hurt. People in the community tell me that although they understand that the Chico is tied with the Warren versus Chico settlement, they wish there was better solutions. Reporting in Chico, I'm Sade Pullen with Action News Now.
Thank you, Sade. And recently a judge ruled against the city of Chico's motion to end the Warren versus Chico settlement agreement. It will remain in effect for 18 more months, which was the duration of the agreement, unless the city decides to appeal.
Today, people hoping to grab lunch at Aka Taco in downtown Chico were met with an unusual obstacle. Take a listen. PETA's Hell on Wheels truck simulates a transfer truck commonly used to take pigs to slaughter. The group advocated for a plant-based diet and argued that people can live without eating meat. They're hoping to raise awareness about animal cruelty.
So some people might argue that eating meat is part of a proper human diet, but that there are more ethical ways to go about it. Is there a way that people could know, an easier way for people to figure out where their meat's coming from and how the animal's being treated?
Labels such as organic or free range really do nothing for these animals who will all end up being trucked through freezing, cold, or burning heat in a transport truck to a slaughterhouse where they will all end up have the same fate. They will all end up being killed at a fraction of their lifespan when it's completely unnecessary, since we can find plant-based foods in every grocery store, nearly every restaurant.
I did ask her twice why they picked Aka Taco specifically. Fernandez told me sometimes they park out front of big businesses too and don't mean harm to small local businesses, but she didn't directly answer my question. Now, in this week's Straight from the Source, Butte County Supervisor Tammy Ritter talks COVID, flood prevention, and being a foster mom. That's straight ahead.